The Audi and BMW contenders from the two different classes. And it is a battle of the manufacturers, represented by some pretty well-known German marks. Bob Wallach there, veteran sports car driver, racing in the Dick Barber Racing Porsche. But Scotsman Alms, who was supreme in qualifying for Audi on what he considers to be one of the best driver circuits around, and he's not wrong. The elevation changes and sweeps of this demanding circuit make it a real favorite with the drivers. And it was Audi who took top positions in qualifying. But this is endurance racing, and it's all about getting to the finish. Fastest lap in history for Alan McNish in qualifying, 1 minute 20.683 seconds. Joined on the front row by Emanuele Pirro, winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Two panels is just behind. David Brabham and Johnny O'Connell, the American coming from the wonderfully named Flowery Branch, Georgia, as we go on board there with James Weaver momentarily. And we have a good selection of onboard cameras as we take the start up through the fast left-hand sweep at turn number 1, up over the brow of the hill. Tremendous elevation changes make the steering of the cars extremely heavy and the demands on the drivers very high indeed. Of course, the Californian weather is going to mean that all the drivers need to be in top physical condition as Alan McNish, the Scotsman, leads away Emanuele Pirro. The Audis 1 and 2. Panos is right in behind, and the BMW is not hanging around. Down through the tight left-hander. Now turn number 6. Before they go into the tight hairpin. Up turn number 7, second gear, about 70 miles an hour. Then they really do build up speed here at Sears Point through turns 8, 9. Getting up to well over 150 miles an hour. Through the final right-hander, absolutely flat in 5th gear before hard on the brakes through turn number 11. And we're bound to see action here. Wide tarmac curbing on the inside of the accelerator there. Going up through the gears, past the pit lane, up through turn number 1 again, and back on another lap. So McNish partnered in the number 77 Audi. By Ronaldo Capello. Le Mans winners Frank Bila and Emanuele Pirro in the second Audi. On board the GT BMW. And you can see the drivers really working constantly. That is the number 7 BMW M3, driven by Boris Said from Carlsbad, California. Joined by the legendary Hans Stuck, as he lights ablaze already in the California sunshine. Harry's the number 5 Dick Barber Porsche. Dirk Muller and Lucas Lurr partnering in the number 5 GT Porsche. Fast sweeps. All the drivers saying they enjoy this track so much. Physically extremely demanding, as I've said. And just so many sequences of corners. No time to rest. Not only do the elevation changes, and generally these cars are hard to drive, GT cars, prototypes, very heavy on steering. The elevation changes mean that lots of forces working against the car, but also continual sequences of corners, just no place for the drivers to rest. So no doubt we will see lapses in concentration, hopefully nothing too serious as the drivers progress on. The lanky Carlsbad driver Boris Said working hard in the BMW to get by that Porsche already. Good close dicing all the way down the field as we've come to expect in the ALMS series. First round was at Sebring in Florida. Moved on then to Charlotte. Great to see the LMS over in its form of Alms at Silverstone, and then the Nürburgring, now back over to the shores of America on the West Coast in wine country, Northern California. Well, join us back for more action live on the American Le Mans Series. Right after these words. Pushing hard in second place for Audi. Winner of Le Mans, partnered with his partner today, Frank Biela. German and Italian driver pairing. Piero hits the brakes hard, coming through the tight right-hander. Up now through the very, very short pit lane entrance. Shiny tarmac area as he comes up on a BMW GT car, squeezes up on the inside. Pops it down a couple of gears, squeezing the power on very, very carefully up over the brow of the hill. Up one more gear, fast left-hand sweep. It just has to ease off as he approaches that Porsche on the brakes, sweeping tight right-hander. Absolutely no time to rest for the drivers. Not only is it a long race, it's a long and demanding racetrack at Sears Point. Sears Point is one of the busiest racing tracks, if not the busiest racing track in the world. They actually have open for business 350 days of the year. Of course, the Californian weather allows them to have events on. They have NASCAR racing here, AMA Superbike racing. And of course, American Le Mans Series sports cars. Well, McNish Capello car leads, number 77 Audi. 78 Audi, Piero Biela in second place. It's the Brabham Magnussen Panos LMP1 currently in third. It's a Panos again in fourth, Johnny O'Connell. And the Japanese driver Kato. BMW's languishing down really in fifth and sixth place. Winners here last year. JJ Leto and Steve Soper. Leto partnered today by Jörg Müller. Right now, the Leto-Müller car running lap times in the high 28s. Or 3 to 4 seconds slower than the Audi. Difficult to know whether that's the pace of the car with traffic, but right now, they're running a similar pace to the second BMW prototype. Bill Auberlen and Jean-Marc Gounon running in sixth, only putting in lap times of a similar pace. Right now, the Audis do look supreme. The Panos cars look second quickest, and the BMW seem to be struggling. GTS is the Viper Team Oreca. Number 92 car leads that class, 9th overall. David Donahue and Tommy Archer. And the Wendlinger Beretta dominant crew, currently second in GTS and 10th overall, just in behind their teammates. GT is that Muller and Lur driven Dick Barber Racing Porsche and the Sade Stuck BMW M3 in hot pursuit. Well, evidence, if any was needed, that Alan McNish is the fastest guy out on the racetrack. As he actually comes up on his teammate Emanuele Pirro, you can see Pirro concentrating on going through this fast sweeping section through turns 8, 9, and 10, checking his mirrors now as he goes through. The fast left-hander, turn number 9, then the fast right-hand sweeper. Oh, and that is a Panos off. Panos running 3rd and 4th place. Was that the 3rd or 4th place Panos? That is the number 2 car of Johnny O'Connell and Hiroki Kato, excuse me. And that has gone off. Doesn't look like there's a great deal of damage to the car. And he is absolutely devastated. Can't believe, Hiroki Kato, that he has, just ran wide, and hits the barrier relatively, quite firmly there. I think that's coming out of turn number 5 down into the tight left-hander at turn number 6. Very, very fast section of the track. 5th gear as they build up speed before they go into the left-hander. That is the left-hand turn number 6. And we see Kato just coming through, having gone round wide at turn number... and that's the Dodge Viper. No, it's not the... I thought that was the... But that's the number 91. Wendlinger Beretta car. Now that is a mistake you just will have not seen very often. But that Panos, through that fast section, Hiroki Kato, the Japanese driver, was really developing a reputation for putting in solid performances. Must be said, he was considered really a bit of a rent-a-driver, a bit of a driver bringing financing to the team, but proved to be extremely rapid and a good asset to the Panos team. And we don't know whether that's his fault or whether some kind of mechanical problem, but the Japanese driver, as he gets out of the car, looks perfectly fine. The car doesn't look extensively damaged, but he certainly went off very, very scary off there at the exit of turn number 5. Emanuele Pirro in the 2nd place Audi puts another lap down on a GT Porsche. And things just starting to happen here now at Sears Point. The demands of this circuit, the heat. We heard drivers talking about that earlier, and that no matter how fit these drivers are, and they are fit, the front runners, I can assure you, they pay close attention to their fitness. The demands of this endurance racing means that they have to. But they take on fluids during pit stops. They have drinks bottles in the car, but so easy to dehydrate, lose a little bit of concentration under such extremely demanding physical conditions and mental conditions. It's not surprising that occasionally a mistake can be made. Now, whether that was the case with Hiroki Kato or whether it was completely out of his hands and a mechanical fault, we do not know. But no doubt they will examine what went on there. And right now, Alan McNish, the determined Scotsman, is supreme. Well, that Kato Panos was running quite fast lap times. But perhaps just pushing that a little bit too far. And it's dropping down the order now. McNish then, who leads in the Audi. The Piero Bila Audi in 2nd position. Brabham and Magnussen into third place in the number 1 Panoz. Problems for the number 2 Panoz lifts JJ Leto and Jörg Müller in their BMW up into 4th position as we get a shot of Alan Manish putting his teammate's car 1 lap down. So the BMW of Leto and Müller in 4th spot. Fifth spot, next BMW, Bill Abelin and Jean-Marc Gounon. And then it is the Johansson Matthews Racing, Reynard. Currently running in 7th position. Well, we saw problems with that GTS Team Oreca Viper, still showing on our screens as the leading GTS cars. 92 Donahue Archer car and the 91 Wendlinger Beretta car in 9th and 10th overall. And it's Porsche v BMW. And it is a Porsche 911 GT3 Dick Barber racing car that still leads the number 5 car in GT. Boris Said and Hans-Joachim Stuck, BMW M3 second in GT, battling it out hard with the Barber Porsche. And we can see that battle right there on the track. Coming up on slower GT car. Oh, and he's just a Porsche not getting help from the fellow Mark there. And this is, oh, and he's absolutely on the ragged edge. That's the 21 car that we saw in with trouble earlier. Really should be taking account of the blue flags, not in contention. As we now have a prototype Audi coming up on the inside, and this is the difficulty of endurance racing. Everybody having their own race, and Alan McNish squeezes his way through. And it must be said that it's the MCR Aspen Knowles Porsche number 21 not really doing its job and staying out of the way. And it was the GTS Viper that squeezed past the BMW there. Now that's given Hans Stuck more work to do now to get back on terms with that number 5 Porsche. As he has to think about keeping the 21 Porsche behind him and letting the Audi through. Well, that 21 Porsche being driven quite quickly now, but really needs to lap as quickly as they can, but stay out of trouble. Currently running down in 19th position, that 21 car. The number 7 Sade Stuck BMW running right up in 12th position. Challenging for the class win. Well, he now seems to have gotten rid of that 21 car and Hans Stuck. How long have we been watching him race sports cars? Difficult physical conditions, and the German driver now is right back up with the Dick Barber Porsche. And they are in behind the number 91 Oreca Viper. Well, that is one of the cars we saw trouble with the Oreca Viper going off earlier. Something you just don't see. They have such a dominant record in GTS. And right now, this is the battle we're concentrating on, and a battle royale it is as well. Alan McNish continues to dominate. we look at the GT battle. Right there. That is the number 5, 911 GT3, Dick Barber Racing. Unbeaten this year. BMW have something to say about that. They'd love to win here in California. I tell you what, they look like they've got a very, very good chance. Well, now Stuck has got a prototype car to contend with. As that car comes, just squeezes up the inside. That's the number 37. Lola Judd, the Banana Joe's car run by Intersport Racing. Dorsey Schroeder and James Weaver. No, excuse me, that's John Field and Rick Sutherland. Sutherland from San Jose, California. Wow, this is our race leader, Alan McNish, coming into pit lane. First thing that will happen is fuel. Now, nobody should be touching that car except the people putting fuel in. And that is a race official, so fuel only. Tires to the ready. You'll see the whole...
Where the race leader, Alan McNish, brings the number 77 Audi in for what should be its final pit stop. That last stint by Alan was almost 60 minutes. This means that Ronaldo Capello should be able to go the rest of the way without a splash of fuel, which we are really thinking about. He gets a little tap on the head from Alan. Alan walks out. The driver change is complete. They're waiting for fuel, and then we anticipate they will definitely be changing cars. Remember, Alan double stinted the Michelins, and Ronaldo will now have a fresh set of rubber to go out and try and take it to the checkered flag. He has a massive gap over the rest of the field, so he should be able to take it easy. He does not have the track knowledge that Alan McNish has, but certainly he's got some pressure on him here today to try and score another victory for Yost. And Steve Evans, something else further down pit lane.
Absolutely. The Panos is in a driver change, fueling the car. Remains to be seen if they'll get tires. It appears that they will. They just about have to. They've double stinted this rubber. Yep.
Well, as we hear, Ronaldo Capello takes the lead Audi out with fresh boots on. And the number 1 Panos makes the driver change. Going back out with fresh rubber on. 78 Audi comes in action from Sears Point in Sonoma, California for the American Le Mans Series, round number 5. And it is a dominant performance right now from that car, the number 77 Audi. Currently being driven by the Italian driver, Ronaldo Capello, after a stirring performance from his teammate Alan McNish, putting him well into the lead. But we see some action. Well, there we are looking at that number 77 leading Audi. Audi's absolutely dominating. Audi 1 and 2 right now. McNish Capello car leads. Emanuele Pirro did the first stint for the second Audi, number 78. Now Frank Biela, the German driver, has taken over that car. But they are a good distance behind their leading teammates. It's Panos in third position, the Brabham Magnussen car. The Panos LMP1 number 1 car. Earlier we saw the Panos driven by the unfortunate Hiroki Kato. Sustained damage at a fast, sweeping left-hander turn number 5, where the car ran wide and put them out of the race. So it's Audi, Panos, then the 2 BMW prototypes, JJ Leto and Jörg Müller in 4th position, followed by Bill Auberlen and Jean-Marc Gounon in the 43 car. Next up is the Reynard of Stefan Johansson. Johansson partnered with the Briton Guy Smith as we see the 2nd place Audi squeezing up the inside of a Porsche at the tight hairpin turn number 11.
But no damage. Carl can catch up to your sister car with, I believe David will get behind the wheel now. They're doing a pit stop currently.
We will try, but it's important that the 2 cars finish.
Okay, so you're just going to be consistent and try and take it home?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they have the championship lead. They may not build on it as much as they hope, but it looked like it should be a Viper day once again.
Well, if one Viper doesn't win, the other one does, and that was Olivier Beretta explaining what happened in an earlier incident, which you just rarely see ever, the Beretta Wendlinger car coming into any trouble. And we don't know why he went off at the same part of the track, turn number 5, as the Panos had gone, whether he was involved trying to take avoidance from that Panos, but here we just see the tail end of it as they come down a fast left-hander into the tight fast right-hander into a tight left-hander, and the Panos just barreling off there. And really, with the experience and success of Beretta and Wendlinger, Beretta obviously driving the car at the time, unlikely to be just pure driver error, but unfortunately we lost the interview and didn't get the detailed explanation, although he does point out that they are now going to go to their finish and not try and push too hard in the car. It is the Donahue Archer car which now leads in GTS. And actually those 2 cars were running 1 and 2, but now split. No, they are still 1 and 2 in GTS. And that is one of the GT Porsches going off. And the 91 car there, 2nd in GTS. Coming up on now that number 23. Porsche Alex Job Racing 911 GT3R. Driven by Bruno Lambert, the Belgian driver, and Randy Popes from Melbourne, Florida. And that is the 77 Audi, our lead car, here at Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California, just south of San Francisco, and near the Napa Valley wine country in this beautiful part of northwestern United States. Sears Point, one of the driver's favorite circuits. Not perhaps that well known these days internationally, but let me tell you, it does have a very busy schedule of very high quality racing. Great to see the action. Sonoma, California, Sears Point, number 77 Audi leads, driven by Ronaldo Capello.
On the road for a while.
I do have to apologize if from time to time our pit reporter comes in unannounced. We aren't getting clear signals from the pits, so sometimes we don't think they are there, and they are, and sometimes we think they aren't, and they are. But we try and bring you as much information from the pits as we possibly can. And right now it does not look like a BMW prototype as we look at the number 43 car driven by Jean-Marc Gounon and Bill Auberlen, running down in 5th position, and it is about to be lapped by the lead Audi. The winners here last year, the BMW, driven by Leto and Soper at the time. And the pace of the Audi has just been too strong. Although, having said that, the current lap record is JJ Leto and Steve Soper. Prototype lap record 22:38, and the fastest lap so far of that Audi is 22:86. So the hot conditions not allowing an outright lap record in the race. Now they're clear of the GT and GTS cars. It won't be long before that 77 Audi.
Yeah, you know, I taught here, about 10 years ago for the Bonnarant School, and very lean times. I wasn't making a whole lot of money racing then, and because of that, I used to pick my tires. I went to the tire walls here, and they didn't drill the tires together or band them together, so I just go through these tire walls and, yeah, this one's all right, I'll put it on. And I did that for about 2 years, so I owe a debt of gratitude to Sears Point for keeping my car on the road for a while. Luckily, Michelin takes care of me now.
Well, we did that information. That was Johnny O'Connell talking about the tough times of being an instructor. And I used to do that for many years, teaching people how to drive around the racetrack. Very scary. Johnny O'Connell's gone on to much better things now, making it a nice living driving racing cars, but remembers the days when it was tough. And he actually had to take tires out of the tire wall. I find that hard to believe, having seen those tires just there, that he could possibly use those on any form of a racing car. But that's Johnny O'Connell talking about the lean years. Ronaldo Capello, the graphic shows us again, is in the car in the leading Audi. Now it's a must. It is difficult for an endurance driver when he's handed a big lead. Well, you might think if he's handed a big lead, it's easy, but the pressure is, hey, I got the car way ahead of everybody else. It's the fastest car out there. Look at this massive lead I gave you. So the drivers are under pressure to keep that lead. Sure, they could let the lead dwindle down slowly and allow the other runners to come up behind them, but endurance drivers do not want to be really slower than their teammate. Not as important as in sprint racing, of course, but the drivers do take personal pride in being as quick as each other. So right now, Ronaldo Capello does not want that Audi to be caught by the second place Audi or the third place Panos. But he, of course, does not need to push as hard now that the team have built a strong lead. It's up to him to keep that lead, keep his head, push just the right amount, and that's difficult for a driver to actually coast with a lead. Concentration goes unless the driver is generally pushing around about 95%. Just keeping that last little bit in check can sometimes cause them to lose concentration and actually make a mistake when they're not pushing as hard. Many drivers will say the best way to lead the race is to drive like you're chasing somebody. Keep everything together. Of course, you don't want to make mistakes that will cause you to spin or go off the track at all, but you do need to push in order to keep the focus. And it looks like Ronaldo Capello is working pretty hard in that BMW, in that Audi and the BMW behind. And this is an onboard shot now with Frank Bila, Le Mans winner this year. Taking over that car from the Italian Emanuele Pirro. Really driving for a second place now. Ready to take over should the lead Audi incur any problems, but not really chasing down their teammates. And that's the number one Panos in third position. And Magnussen behind the wheel. Coming up on a GT BMW. And Panos finishing second here this year, wanting to go one better, and right now, unless the two lead Audis come into trouble. But there's a little way to go yet in the race. And these things are mechanical after all. And as they run more and more, things get hot, drivers get tired. Mechanical component can fail. And the nearer you get to the end of the race, the more things that can go wrong, and Panos will be hoping that perhaps Audi run into some difficulty. The large American flags on the side of those cars showing, of course, the origin of that mark. Right now, Capello leads from Villa. Action at Sonoma Raceway, Sears Point track in California, as we get a glimpse of the Audi going up through the sweepers around the tight hairpin. Accelerates away, building up speed through this fast section, then down through turn number 6. Sweeping around and downhill, where we saw the Beretta Viper going off earlier. And getting up to around about 150 miles an hour before braking hard for turn number 7. Squeezing the power on it, going through this exciting section of sweeping corners here, up through the gears. Left, right, building up more and more speed, really demanding part of the track. 5th gear, 165 miles an hour through turn number 9, then turn number 10. Final straight before braking hard through turn number 11, right the way down to 2nd gear, 55, 60 miles an hour, squeezing the power on. Quick run up to turn number 12, past the pits as we look at that panel. It's just creeping around now. Again, we just picked up the end of that interview with Dave Price. Apologies if the interviews are coming into us during commentary, but we have some difficulty with communicating with our guys down in the pits, and we bring you the information as soon as we can. Not a good day for Panos, but with chassis and engine developments coming along, the winners from the last round at the Nürburgring, sure it won't be long before they're challenging for podiums and wins again, but doesn't look like today on home ground that they will be. Well, Panos wins in Germany, and the German Mark Audi is winning in the United States. And really just cruising around now. And backing off the pace at the front, really the Audi's front car last lap time in the high 26.4. Second place Audi 27.4 against fastest laps of 22s and 23s for those cars. So running 3 to 4 seconds off of their ultimate pace. And that is the number 36 Reynard of ex-Grand Prix drivers Stefan Johansson and Britain's Guy Smith, which seems to be cruising. And they were running strong also, up in 6th position overall, so they will be slipping down the order as we come to the conclusion of the Sonoma Grand Prix at Sears Point. Don't know what the nature of that problem is.
Stefan, it's been a bit of a struggle for you today. We see Guy Smith slowing down right now, but I believe power steering issues.
Yeah, we've had a few dramas actually. The car wouldn't restart on the first pit stop, so I think we lost a lap on that one. Then we've had a problem with the power steering where the breaker just keeps popping on the power steering for some reason, so we've ended up taping it down in the end, and it'll either burn up or it'll have power steering basically.
You persevered with the Reynard. I mean, it still seems to be a little bit off. You've run with yours before. You won at Le Mans with that team. Is this car capable of competing against the Audis this year?
We're not capable yet, but I mean, obviously it's a continuous development on the car. I mean, Reynard's, you know, working in the wind tunnel all the time and in the shaker rig and everything. So I mean, you know, hopefully towards the end of the year we'll have a package that'll be strong enough to challenge for pole and hopefully a few wins. But really, I think we've got to focus on next year to really be in a position to be consistently there.
Well, they're just looking at this as a development program, guys, and tough to be out there. Great drivers, great budget with this team, but the Audi is just a steamroller right now.
Well, as we hear from Stefan Johansson, obviously troubles with that Reynard car, but Reynard don't build too many bad racing cars, so I'm sure that, as Stefan Johansson points out, things just need a little bit more development, a little bit of time, and they can challenge for fastest lap times and possibly victories with the Reynard chassis. Good to see Britain Guy Smith expanding his racing experience, running with Stefan Johansson. Driving in single-seaters over the United States, Guy Smith nearly made his Indy 500 debut this year. Things didn't work out for him, but the likable English driver currently struggling with power steering, as we heard. And although you might think power steering in a racing car, well, these things are extremely heavy to drive, let me tell you. And it is almost impossible with a modern sports prototype car to get away without some form of power assistance. That's Hans Stuck leading in GT class, squeezing past that Dick Barber Racing Porsche while we were away for break. Now leads in GT from the number 5 911 GT3. Now the Audis were on pole position first and second, and that's where they currently lie. And Stuck brakes hard, goes through turn number 11, tight hairpin. Squeezing the power on.
I say that.
Sports prototype rounds the outside. He stays well out of the way, up through the gears as they start.
A lot of prep shops and a lot of race shops located on the prep.
Well, again, some information coming down from the pit lane, and apologies for that coming through and us not always getting the information. We will bring you any information that's relevant to the race that we can get from pit lane. Right now, we're enjoying the skills of Hans-Joachim Stuck as he goes through the sweeping sections of turn number 4. And we are taking a look at the number 67 Porsche, the Racers Group car, and that is Jennifer Tuminelli, our only lady in the race, partnering in that car with Steve Ariana, both of them from California. Tuminelli from Tiburon, California. Ariana from Dublin, California. So, young lady in this event drawing some attention. '67 car currently running in 20th position. About 10th in the GT class out of about 15 runners currently running in the race. But good to see a lady driver out there. And that is Tuminelli, Jennifer Tuminelli. In the Racers Group entry. Last lap time for that car is about 2 minutes, so probably due to traffic, fastest lap they've put in the race so far. Was back on lap number 2 of this race. It's, according to our information, that's a 1:42.59 compared with the front-running GT car of Boris Said and Hans-Joachim Stuck 1:37. So that car not absolutely bang on the pace. In the same class, the fastest lap difference of around about 5 seconds. But this is what ALMS racing is all about. You've got the might of Audi and BMW at the front with the factory cars.
He knows his way around this track, and he should have put on a great performance here this afternoon.
And we have professional teams and really semi-pro and then amateur drivers putting together budgets so that they can go out, enjoy endurance racing at really a top level, sharing the racetrack with some of the greatest names in both vehicles and drivers in endurance racing. number 67, Porsche 911. Well, at the front, things not changing. It is Audi and Audi, McNish, Capello, Biro, Biela. As we look at them, oh, running together, and that is Frank Biela actually hits. It looks like Frank Biela actually hit the back of Ronaldo Capello. They were so close. And that they were in danger of having, hopefully we'll get a repeat of that. And Pirro was coming through, and it looked like that maybe Capello just backed off. And Frank Biela tapped the back end of his car. He's now, whether he's slowing as a result of that or doesn't look like there's any damage on the car. But a great onboard shot there, as we saw that Frank Biela just not knowing what was going on there. Suddenly the car in front slowed. They were passing two slower cars. And Capello with a massive race lead that was given to him by Alan McNish when they made the change. I think Pirro thinking, and Biela thinking perhaps it's a little bit better. I don't need to follow that closely in order to support the driver in front. And I tell you what, if they did take each other out, there'd be a couple of people in BMW and Panos would be happy about it, but quite a few others who wouldn't be. And I think the fault would have to go with Frank Biela for following so closely if it was to come to that, but hasn't happened. Looks like everything's okay. It's just a heart-stopping moment for the Audi crew. And that is the car that dominated at Le Mans. 1, 2, and 3 for Audi. BMW didn't go, of course. Panos were there, closest challengers to the Audi, but Audi just swept all before them. And here we go, we see it through this fast section of the track, just coming up on a slower GT car, and boom, it does look like Ronaldo Capello slows. He thinks, I don't know he's coming up on that slower GT car, which is going much, much slower. So really just an error there. Biela a little bit unsighted. He comes up on, all of a sudden, the Audi's squeezing through on the inside, sees he's going to come up on the slower car, has to back off, backs off suddenly, thinks that car's practically stopped ahead of him. So really, nobody's fault. Biela wasn't actually following that closely. But as they're accelerating through that fast section of the track, they were coming through the S's, and it's all about acceleration through there, through turns 8, 9, and 10. So, again, a heart-stopping moment, but it doesn't look like it's a problem. Last lap times for the two Audis, 1 minute 30.40 for Ronaldo Capello, 1 minute 30.48. So the two cars lapping within 0.08 of each other on that last lap. And the BMWs now matching the pace of the front Audis, of the leading Audis. Jörg Müller putting a 1:30.1. But of course those lap times not absolutely flat out. Audi could run quicker if they were challenged by BMW, and it doesn't look likely that they are going to be now. But we always have with endurance racing the possibility of mechanical problems, the possibility of traffic, drivers getting tired, and human errors coming into it. So you never do know what's going to happen. Up through the elevated sections of the track, past the pit lane, up over the brow of the hill at turn number 1, about 110 to 115 miles an hour in third gear. Changing up through the gears, left-hand sweeper down into the compression, up over brow of the hill in third gear. And this is hand stuck now, a little further around the track, coming through turn number 11. Leading now, still from the second place in GT class, Dick Barber Porsche. Boris Said, the American driver from Carlsbad, California, who handed over that car in second place, challenging hard against the Porsche, but it was Stuck who was in the car to actually take the lead. Both these drivers quite tall and lanky, so a good pairing in endurance racing. Don't have to make too many seat or positional changes. Boris Said, who's really developing has developed a solid career in GT racing in the United States and internationally, and actually has got a limited program of Busch races, racing the second division of the NASCAR championship for a limited program, which I'm sure will earn him a few extra pounds, a few extra dollars in his racing career. As we look on board now, the Viper. Boris Said, winner last year in the Yokohama Flextronics BMW M3. Well, it is the second place. Frank Biela now right back up with the leading McNish Capello car. Capello currently driving that machine. Our leading Audis, 1 and 2. Well, Le Mans was no fluke. Not that we thought it was. They just went there and blew them all away. And they seem to be doing the same thing here. And right now, Audi is dominant. Well, encountering some traffic, really much slower lap times. 1 minute 30 a couple of laps ago, now 1 minute 36 and 1 minute 35. So 5 to 6 seconds a lap slower as we near the end of the race, as you'd imagine. Right in the closing stages, the Audi crew are able to just cruise and back off, saving the car, coming in for a formation finish. And there we are. It is victory for Audi, 1 and 2 in round number 5. So far in the championship then, Audi have won 2, BMW have won 2, Panos have won 1, but that must be said is a very, very dominant performance. There we look at the number 92 GTS winner coming through to take the victory. Tommy Archer driving that, partnering it with the earlier driver, David Donahue.
Ecstasy for Reinhold Jost.
Well, Reinhold Jost, one of the most successful sports car operators there is. And oh, Hans Stuck enjoying himself a little bit, just coming around there in the BMW, taking victory in GT class. Just coming across the line.